What is going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and today we have a very cool episode planned for you. It is going to be another deck tech video. We get a lot of positive interaction on the deck tech videos, a lot of comments, a lot of likes, and I appreciate that a lot. So if you're enjoying these videos, definitely dropping those comments, dropping those likes. Stick around for Monday's video, where we're going to be talking about some of the best deck options for the set championships. I do think this is among those decks, so stick around for this whole deck because I think it's going to definitely be a competitor. First, we are running 3 Pegasus, 1 for 1, evasive, quest for 1, just like Pascal without the caveat, so in a way even better than Pascal. Then, since this deck is focused on aggression, we do have 4 cursed merfolks. 0-1 for 1, uninkable, quests for 2, and when it is banished in a challenge, your opponent chooses and discards a card, so great way to put the pressure on, great way to get some of those removal spells out of your opponent's hand. Then our big shift target in the deck, we do have 4 Diablos, 1-2 for 1, quest for 1. Ability is not irrelevant by any means. When you play this character, you get to look at your opponent's hand, so in green where you're likely playing the 2-drop Ursula, this is a great option to be able to go ahead and see what you're going to get and then know if you need to snipe a song. The next card in the deck is just a 2-of, but we are on 2 Chernobog followers. They're situationally good. 2-1 for 1, quest for 1. When this character quests, you may banish them to draw a card, so can be good in certain situations if you just need to keep the pressure on. If you're questing in and there's going to be threatening killing this, then you might as well go ahead and banish it yourself and get the card draw. We are also running 2 Befuddles. Return chosen character or item with cost 2 or less to their player's hand. For 1, it's an action. Generally going to be using this to protect your own characters one way or another. Occasionally you'll be bouncing an opposing character to protect your characters, or bouncing your own characters to play them unexerted so they can't get challenged. Alright, in the last 1 drop in the deck, we do have 2 Hidden Coves. 1 cost location, 1 to move in, 6 willpower. Characters get +1/+1. This is heavily important because it can keep your characters out of range of things like Brawl or Sisu, Madame Medusa, so definitely can be relevant in keeping your characters alive as well as getting attacks that are going to be more favorable for you. Then, as many decks are now, including Ruby Amethyst, we're on 3 snakes as opposed to 4. This deck is a little less heavy on the Merlin package as well, so snake isn't as relevant in the late game, but 3 for 2, quest for 1, and when this character enters play, you're going to be able to go ahead and bounce one of your characters back to your hand, which sounds like a negative because you have to banish her if you don't do it, but is really a positive because you're going to be able to take advantage of enter play triggers more than once, which is awesome. And with the Merlin package, you're going to be able to take advantage of leaves play triggers more than once. Then a card I have been definitely hot on since it came out. Should have got 4 foils, only have 2 foils right now, but sweet card. 1-3 for 2, quest for 1. This is Ursula Deceiver. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand to you, and you choose a song card from it, and they have to discard that card. Lots of songs being played in all the relevant decks in the format right now, so definitely a great time to have this card in your deck. She is almost always ripping something, and like I mentioned with Diablo, you can take advantage of looking at their hand turn 1 and then deciding if you're going to be benefiting from playing Ursula turn 2 to rip a song that you need to get out of your way. And then just to get a little extra discard with her, if you wanted to, or take advantage of this in a little bit later in the game to double sing it, you got 2 sudden chills, 2 cost song. Each opponent chooses and discards a card. Like I mentioned with Ursula Deceiver of All, you can go ahead and double sing this and then put it back on the bottom of your deck, which is always gross. Then a little additional discard and questing pressure. We are running 4 Flynn Riders. Still a fantastic card. Glad I got 4 foils of this when I did, when it was a little less relevant to the meta during the last set. Not to say it's ever been bad, but it is coming back around, and it is a 1-2 for 2, quest for 2, and when this character is banished in a challenge, your opponent is going to discard a card. Same ability as Cursed Merfolk, but on a 1-2 body for 2. So that goes to show you how good that ability is, and that ability to quest for 2, that whether it's a 1 cost or a 2 cost character, so really good. Then totally necessary evil in Emerald in the set right now. There's a big reason that this card is seeing, I think, like $50 to $60 price point still. It may have come down a little bit, hopefully, but 2/2 for 3. Shift to discard an action card to go ahead and shift it. So there's plenty of actions in the deck to take advantage of that. It's another reason that we did put Befuddle in the deck, because it can be good to keep tempo, but it can also be a discard option for Diablo. And during each opponent's turn, whenever they draw a card while he is exerted, you're going to go ahead and draw a card as well, which can be really gross, especially if you get 2 Diablos in play, because you're going to be drawing 2 cards for every card that they draw, including the card that they draw at the beginning of their turn. It is also evasive, if I didn't mention that, so very good card. Then one of your options to sing with Ursula, Deceiver of All, or to sing with Diablo when he comes into play, if questing isn't as relevant to you, is Friends on the Other Side. 3 to draw 2 cards. It's a song. Everybody knows it. Still fantastic. Pretty much seen 4 of in every Amethyst list, so I would say it's still one of the best cards in the game. Another card I'm happy I got foils of when they were cheap. Then we have 2 Jacques. Jacques is a very situational card, but it's got a solid stat line. It does die to Brawl, which is a bummer, but it's kind of a 1-for-1 trade with Brawl, because Brawl does cost 3, Jacques costs 3, so you're kind of keeping parity with the opponent if they do choose to Brawl Jacques. But he is a 1/4 quest for 2, and what's really relevant to him is his ability that when he enters play, you can give your opposing characters Reckless. So if you're doing something like turn 1 Curse Merfolk, turn 2 Flynn, turn 3 Jacques, you're going to have only tap down characters that your opponent is going to banish, and then you're going to force them to discard. That's where Jacques is going to shine the most. The thing that's really cool about Jacques too is if you're not trying to quest with him and you do want to get a cheeky little kill in there, we do run 2 Merlin Crabs in the deck. 3/3 for 3, quest for 1, and when it enters play, you can go ahead and give a character Challenger +3. You can look at going turn 3 Jacques, causing them to have to attack into Flynn or Curse Merfolk, and then turn 4 drop a Merlin Crab, get that Jacques up to a 4/4, and maybe take out one of their characters. And you can also continue to put the pressure on with a 1-drop during that turn, or sing. You got a lot of options going into your turn 3. It's a heavy turn 3 deck. Then another great option song-wise, specifically for Ursula, Deceiver of All, which is why we're only playing 2 of these as opposed to 3 or 4. Return chosen character to their player's hand, does cost 3, is an uninkable, so kind of a mixed bag there. But if you're singing it with Ursula, Deceiver of All, you are going to be able to double sing it and put it back on the bottom of your deck. So you're going to be able to bounce 2 characters to your opponent's hand essentially for free, which is a crazy tempo swing. Then still easily the best early game attacker, bar none, major asset to Amethyst, Madam Mim Fox, 4/3 for 3, quest for 1. Questing is not what she's relevant for. When you play her, you bounce another character to your hand or banish her, same as the snake. So again, you can take advantage of protecting your own guys or getting enter play triggers more than once with something like Ursula Deceiver to go ahead and snipe additional songs from your opponent. And she does have Rush, so she's generally going to come out and blast something away and get it out of your way to clear up room for you to quest. It is relevant that she can also do that while bouncing one of those questers back to your hand and keeping it protected for a future turn quest or to be replayed that turn. Then I am not on 4 Ursula, Deceiver of All. This deck is not super heavy on songs. I think we have like 8 songs in the deck. So I went with 3 Ursula, Deceiver of All. She is fairly easy to out. She does die to things like Brawl. Obviously, if you get her inside of Hidden Cove, that keeps her out of Brawl range. So that is going to be probably your best option to keep her alive going into turn 4. But I didn't want to steer too heavily into Ursula, Deceiver of All, even though I do think she's a great card. But she is going to be coming down mainly to double sing those cards. 3 cost, 2/3, quest for 1. Whenever this character sings a song, you get to sing it again and then put it on the bottom of your library. Pretty fantastic. Sudden Chill will go ahead and make your opponent discard 2. Friends on the Other Side will go ahead and draw you 4 cards, and Mother Knows Best is going to bounce 2 characters to your opponent's hand. So that's primarily what she's here for. Then another card that's great to keep the pressure on, especially against Ruby Sapphire or Sapphire Steel, is going to be the Queen's Castle. They have a hard time dealing with locations, particularly in the early game. But if you're not familiar with Queen's Castle, at the start of your turn, for each character that's here, it is going to go ahead and draw you a card. It is a 4-cost location with 7 willpower, so it survives through 1 Maui attack. If they have something else on the board, they can out it right away, so that maybe wouldn't be the best position to play it in. But it is also going to net you 2 lore at the beginning of your turn and only cost 1 to move characters in. It's just an absolutely nutty location. I think they realized that this was pretty broken and that they weren't going to print any more locations that are this good. Then to eke out the last couple lore points, we do have 2 Merlin goats. As I mentioned earlier with the snakes, we're less heavy on the Merlin package, so we are only playing 2 goats, but they're a great way to close out games when you have them. Because the deck is so heavily aggro in the early game, a lot of times they end up being ink, so I didn't end up steering into 4 of these. And again, only 2 of for a Merlin card. Some people may think that's the wrong choice, but this deck draws cards like crazy and makes your opponent discard, which really gets you a pretty serious card advantage. But is the 4-cost 2/3 Merlin Rabbit, quest for 1. When you play this character and when he leaves play, you can go ahead and draw a card. So he's great for getting you some draw triggers. Typically, he's going to replace himself ×2, so he is going to go ahead and draw you 2 cards in most scenarios. Most people aren't going to want to waste a Let It Go or something on a Merlin Rabbit. Then keeping the 2 of form, we do have 2 of the big Pegasus. I do think this card is great. I thought about playing more of it, but frankly I'm at 62 cards in the deck and I think every single card is necessary. So 2 Pegasus, 3/3, shift for 3, quest for 2, cost 5 normally. It is evasive, so it's going to be difficult for your opponent to deal with. And when you play this character, if you shifted it onto the small Pegasus, it gives all of your other characters evasive until the next turn. So this could potentially be a major swing for you to keep your characters alive when your opponent thinks they're just going to kill them through challenging because they're so weak, and get you around to that next turn. Obviously, you're still susceptible to grab your swords, but that's something you're typically going to try to pull with Ursula, so you don't have to worry about it. And then another reason we have 7 other Ursulas in the deck is this big Ursula Sea Witch Queen. Very cool card, 4/7. 4/7, shifts for 5, so you can go ahead and get her out on turn 5. And whenever this character quests, exert chosen character, which is gross in and of itself, so you can start exerting characters and then just bashing away at them if that's what's going to be relevant to you. And then other characters can't exert to sing songs, so that does include your own characters. So that can be kind of a mixed bag. It's not always the best time to play her if you have some songs you want to get out, but like I mentioned, there are only 8 songs in the deck, so usually shutting off your opponent singing songs is more worthwhile than keeping on your ability to sing songs. And she does quest for 3, so fantastic closer. 4/7 stat line, so she doesn't die to Medusa, she doesn't die to Maui. Definitely an excellent card in the meta right now. One of my favorite new aggro decks. Emerald Amethyst is absolutely gross and destroying some of the big meta decks. Like I mentioned, it can run through Sapphire Steel and Sapphire Ruby in the right situations. The Ruby Amethyst matchup is maybe a little more close because they also draw a ton of cards and play Queen's Castle, which this deck has a hard time getting off the field. They also play Flynn, which can be kind of annoying if they don't tap him down because he's going to net them a ton of lore. So there are some interesting matchups. The Bucky matchup is kind of give and take, so because you do have outs to some of what they're doing, but if they're getting a ton of removal and just blasting you away with it and you're not able to snipe it out of their hand with Ursula, it can definitely be a feel bad. So Bucky can be a rough matchup for this deck, but overall I think it's going to be a serious competitor at the set championships coming up. What do you guys think of this deck? Are you enjoying these deck tech videos? Have you been dropping comments to get entered into the upcoming giveaway? Like I mentioned, we're about 200 subscribers away and we're closing in fast on 1,500 subscribers, and we do have an Inklands booster box to give away. So you're excited for that and you want to win one, drop a comment below. Let's talk about this deck list. And to the people who have asked where these are, here we are back with the pink diamond dragon shield sleeves. I know people loved these sleeves in the past. You guys are a truly amazing audience and I couldn't appreciate you more. If you haven't jumped into the Patreon and you want to help with future giveaways, hop over there. Every bit of Patreon goes to giveaways, so that can help fund future booster boxes, playmats, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to win more stuff, help me out by jumping in and subscribing to the Patreon. Like I mentioned, 100% of the proceeds from that are going back to you guys in the form of giveaways. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And when you see those toys, video games, and Ursula themed Emerald Amethyst decks off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.